All right, September the 14th. And do I have a volunteer for the initial prayer?
I can make it, Anna.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so let me put let me okay. Is it good, the sound?
Yeah. Thank you. So let's elevate our thoughts, asking the Lord to help us all to become better people, to understand the difficulties that face us every day. Even if we don't at this very moment understand everything, may we have the faith to accept and to hope for the best, because we know that your will is only wisdom and love for all of us. We ask that you, Lord, give strength to those facing difficulties that are harder than ours. And we ask that you give us a will to help them, not only with our prayers, but with real action and real movements. May we find a way to visit, to talk to people who are in need, to help with any action that we can. And we also want to ask you, Lord, to give us your peace, the peace of the ones who work and who are trying to do our best. May we understand that we have the help of the good spirits that are working for your world to become a part of the earth. And may we understand that they are always on the reach of our thoughts and prayers. So be it.
So be it.
And so it is.
And guys, as a food for thoughts, I want to bring this back because I love this campaign, you know, save life, give blood. Like I told you the other day, I received this in my email and I thought it was so nice. A very nice way to put a campaign, you know, remember the positive feeling you felt when you last donated blood. So if you are in the position to do it, let's do it and help to save life. I schedule myself this week. I hope I can make it. Sometimes people schedule meetings that I cannot miss right on time of my donating blood time. I hope this time is going to work. The other thing that I would like to talk to you about is in Brazil, we have this wonderful campaign. Like every month, I mean, I do not know exactly how they select a specific topic, but for September, they call September Yellow September, and it is a suicide prevention campaign. So it's very, very nice. And as soon as they announce that, so all the organizations, everybody will also, join and do something and talk about it in the companies, offices, everybody will be talking about it. And it's very nice to remember that actually every life matters. And that's how, some of the campaigns they do, every life matters. If you need, ask for help, talk to people, I'm here for you, those kind of things. And I see lots of posts and campaigns, for each of the companies and organizations, reminding, everybody, you are not alone, call for help, and those kind of things. Same thing I would like to remind this group, okay, not about September, nothing is special about September, but every single day, let's try to keep in mind there are people out there with facing difficult times, facing problems. They just do not have the way or the means to talk. Sometimes they do not show any signs that they are struggling, but it is up to us to always check on our friends, check on our, on folks, and ask, are you okay? Or I'm here for you, and those kind of things. Simple acts sometimes it might brighten the day of somebody else. We never know, right? So, yeah, that's what I would like to do. So, here we are, chapter 1, spirits. Spirit hierarchy is the topic. And we were talking about progression of the spirits. The question was, could God exempt spirits from the trials that they must still undergo in order to reach the highest rank? And the answer was, if they have been created perfect, they'll not have merited the enjoyment of such perfection. Where would the merit be without struggle, besides the inequality that exists between spirits is necessary to develop their personality and the mission that each spirit accomplishes at each step of their progress. It's part of the God's plan for ensuring the harmony of the universe. So the next question now is, could God exempt spirits? Oh, I have the answer ready. Could God exempt spirits from the trials? Oh, yeah, this is actually, no, something is not quite right. This is not. Oh, I know what that is. So this is actually a comment from Kardec. Is not an answer. So the question was, the question 119, could God exempt spirits from the trials that they must still undergo in order to reach the highest rank? And the comment from Kardec was, since all individuals may reach the highest ranks of social life, we might ask as well, why does the leader of a nation not make every soldier a general? Why are not all subordinates employees made into department heads? Why do all students not become teachers? This is the main difference between life in the social world and that of the spirit world. The first is limited and does not give everyone the opportunity to rise to the top of society, while the latter is unlimited and ensures everyone the possibility of reaching supreme happiness. Does that make sense to me? To you, it does make totally sense to me.
Yes.
It's very clear, right? So, still under the progress of spirits, do all spirits travel the road of evil to arrive at good? Leda is saying no. Why, Ledinha?
Well, I don't know where does it come from, but they say that Jesus didn't go through the road of evil in his evolution. But I don't know what's the source, but
Sorry.
that's what they say.
Mhm. Yeah. So, hi, Cynthia, you wanted to say something?
Yeah,
Okay.
who was it, Lida? I didn't hear she said. Was it Jesus?
Jesus, yeah, Jesus.
He had to what?
He didn't go through the road of evil like the answer the question is like he didn't make he
Bad
wasn't
choices along the
yeah
way.
bad choices. He wasn't a bad spirit, a fallen spirit to evolve later, you know, because many of us we do some very bad actions and we regret and we start over, and he didn't. He chose the right path always.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but if he was a son of God and came to show us something, he was not reincarnating many times on the earth. He just had the one life as a human being to teach
Yeah,
us.
but they mean in his
Past lives.
past lives out of the earth,
But
because he
what
says
past
that
life? Sorry, what past life?
out of the earth in other planets, you know, because he said that what's the quote to Abraham? He said, "Help me, Hyacinth." He said that when I am right when Abraham was
Who
still
are you?
learning. I am.
I
He
am that
was.
I am. I am
I
that
I
I
am
am.
that
I
I
am
am.
that I am. So
Yes.
he when Abraham was still in the beginning of his evolution, Jesus was already what he is because he's a very ancient spirit, you know?
But he was part of God.
Yeah, all of us are part
Yes.
of God, right?
No, not in the way that Jesus was. I mean, this was a situation. Okay, we can say yes, but that this is my understanding that he had the one incarnation here to teach us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had
I
one
mean,
incarnation here.
he came in human form, particularly. He had to be in human form. That's why he had to be born of a woman.
Yeah, yeah, but before he created Earth, so he's the governor of the Earth, and he created the Earth. But before the Earth, he had an evolution like all the spirits because he's not God. He's a son of God. He's the creation of God. He's
But
a
he is
creature
no, but he is one with God now, has always
Yeah.
been.
because
Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
he got to a level where he is one with God because he reached this level. We all can do what he does. He said that we can all
We
one
can do,
day.
yes, and better than he, yes.
And better.
Yeah.
Yes. So we are talking about progression and
Yes,
later
sorry, but
say,
I cannot accept this at all because what came before the creation, nobody knows. We can only conjecture.
Yeah,
yeah.
we don't know. The spirits they say things about this, but
Mm-hmm.
we
No,
cannot know.
I can't accept that. Sorry.
No,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. It's okay.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So what we are talking about is so in Hyacinth's understanding, so Jesus is part of God and he had only one life and he came from the spiritual realm to teach us.
Yeah.
And Leda's understanding, my understanding as well, like Leda is he did progress to that point. Otherwise, my understanding is he did progress, because how could he teach about making choices if he didn't live the same, you know, like we can only, I know he has the authority, I know he has moral authority, he knows everything, but the best way to teach is, and the best way to gain that authority, the moral authority, is really to live all those experiences with teach. But I you know, like Hyacinth said, nobody knows, and we can only at this point speculate, right? Which doesn't change anything as far as what we
No,
believe today.
exactly.
Yeah.
We just
So
have our beliefs.
exactly, yeah. So Debbie, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, and that made me think that's probably why they say that his mother was born without original sin,
Mhm.
so that to ensure more that he wouldn't travel the road of evil. I just thought of that.
That's an interesting point. Yes, that's an interesting point. It is. But anyway, so we are not talking about Jesus. We're talking about like people like us, just regular. So do all spirits travel the road of evil to arrive at good? So let's see what the answer is. The road traveled is more like the one of unawareness rather than evilness. I love this answer, because we cannot really put a target, a label saying somebody is evil if the matter is not about being evil, but being unaware or being ignorant about what exactly to do, right? So we cannot just say, oh, a child is evil because it's spanking the brother, or no, it's just lack of education. So I really like the answer. How is that some spirits have traveled the road of righteous and others the road of evil? I guess we all know this, right? How is that some spirits? So why Mahatma Gandhi did what he did, and why Hitler did what he did? And that is my understanding. That is very much associated with the free will. We all have that, right? So we all make choices.
Yes,
So,
exactly. We all make choices.
oh my
Yeah.
goodness, see, do they not have free will? God has not created bad spirits. They were all, I love this. God has not created bad spirits. They were all created simple and unaware, possessing an equal aptitude for good or bad. Those who become bad become so of their own volition. So what the I can't remember now if it is in the Spiritist book, or the book of spirits, or if it is in the gospel according to Spiritism. But the spiritists say that there are some spirits that they evolution is, they progress much faster than others, because they are constantly choosing the good, making good choices. Some of us, we are very consistent in a way that we make bad choices.
Yeah.
And but at the end of the day, sooner or later, everybody will arrive at the same destination, right? So, which is perfection. How can spirits possesses freedom of choice between good and bad at their origin when they have not yet acquired self-awareness? I love this question. It's very, very smart question. How can spirits possesses freedom of choice between good and bad at their origin when they have not yet acquired self-awareness? Is there any principle leading them to either one road over the other? Any? Yes, Hyacinth.
I can't be sure of this, but what's coming to me is that people choose. I mean, you get in a family, and some will be honest and open, and some will be crooks. I mean, why is that? I think it's just how one seems to be um, um, wanting to do. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But you get people who are, I mean, youngsters who are kind of saintly and they do everything and they're sincere, and others not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what makes a choice, but it's what is in your heart.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yep. Yep. Carol?
So would your ego have something, a part to play in this question?
Yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
I think ego is what makes you do what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of things will contribute to this, like the environment, the culture. So like I'm reading Paul and Stephen's book, and again, and this example comes to my mind very frequently. So they learn, I mean, the Jewish, the old Jewish people. So they were taught by God that, do not kill, right? So killing was a no. But later on, because they had to deal with their conflicts, they have to live in society and come to a solution where harmony should be, among themselves. And so they created laws. And some of I don't remember which law that is, but there is they had within the first 10 laws, they have do not kill. I think it's
The
the
what?
fifth.
They had the what?
Do not kill, right?
Oh, you mean the commandments, the 10
The
commandments?
commandments. So do not kill, I think it's the fifth.
Thou shalt not kill.
Exactly. But later on, there is a law that they created. Those didn't come from God. They created, saying it was okay to throw stones to a woman if she was cheating. So, but how come you can approve, you can pass a law like this if within the first 10 commandments, it was do not kill each other.
There's that ego again.
See, so
I think there's a law also about stoning your children if they don't do what you want. There's a lot of man-made laws.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So let's see what they say. So how can spirits possess freedom of choice between good and bad at their origin when they have not yet acquired self-awareness? Is there any principle leading them to either one road over the other? Free will is developed as spirits acquire consciousness. Freedom would not exist for them if they made choices by any means other than use of their will. So again, I think Hyacinth is right. When it is what you have in your heart that will lead your actions. So if you were anger, if you were, then it is what it is. That it's going to be a consequence. The causes that determine their choices are not within, but outside of them, via the influences to which they voluntarily yield because of their free will. This choice is represented by the fall of humanity and the concept of original sin. Some spirits yield to temptation while others resist it successfully. So I think that's exactly it. So if I hold lower vibration thoughts, if I, kind of keep bad feelings or, inferior feelings in my heart, chances are I will be led and my actions will be just a consequence of whatever I have in my heart, right? So if I have my heart full of anger, then I will not choose or will not make good choices because anger will pretty much lead my actions. So, and then there is this comment: the causes that determine their choices are not within. I mean, I just got a piece of this answer over here so we can think about the next question. The causes that determine their choices are not within, but outside of them via the influences to which they voluntarily yield because of their free will. Now, the question is, from where do these influences that act upon them originate? So where those influences come from? Debbie.
I think a lot of it comes from the culture. If you're born into a culture that is totally materialistic, then you're going to think that the right thing to do is to gather as much wealth as you can, even if you have to step on other people. I mean, that's sort of what's taught to you from everyone. That's just, and other cultures have other things.
Yeah, and I agree with you because it's gonna be like that until a higher being, a higher spirits incarnate in that community and make changes, right? So when you were talking, I recalled Stephen from the story Paul and Stephen. He was a Jewish, and evidently he knew pretty much what all the prophets mention about the Messiah. And the Jewish interpretation about the Messiah was that prince that would come to save their community, to fight against everybody and free the Jewish people up from the oppression, etc., etc. And then Jesus came, and evidently if they had that idea of a prince coming from the heavens and taking, using arrows and bows and, and fighting against two armies, evidently they would never believe that Jesus was the one, right? However, there was one prophet, Isaiah. He was saying something a little bit different. He was saying Messiah will come, but he will suffer. He will be I'm just translating his words. He will be this guy, humble guy, and he'll be like very humble person. And Stephen's, his favorite prophet was Isaiah, actually. Sorry.
The
And
suffering servant.
uh,
That's what he was, Isaiah called the Messiah, the suffering servant.
exactly. Yeah. So isn't that interesting to realize that actually it was a spirit that incarnated in that same community of people who cultivated this idea of an army prince for hundreds of years. And but yeah, one day someone came up and said, no, I don't think so. I don't think this doesn't make sense. So there is always somebody that will kind of break with that condition, right? Will free up from that condition. So yeah, culture is something very strong that pretty much is gonna lead us, but there is always someone that has a little bit more clarity, or is so his or her mind is so well set on that path of goodness that those ideas from their culture will not really make sense, and then they will try to move in a different direction. So from where do the influences that act upon them originate? From imperfect spirits who seek to dominate them. There is always this kind of people, and take pleasure in watching their failures. These temptations is represented metaphorically as Satan. So remember, because yes, we are living in a community, but one day I remember we said that here, that we actually, the incarnated people, we live like immersed in this ocean full of spirits. So we are all together, we live all together, and we suffer a lot of influences also from the spirits, right? Now, if we cultivate good thoughts, evidently the influences, they will be really good. But if we could cultivate bad thoughts and bad feelings, etc., well, we will attract, right, the equivalent. So we will not attract good spirits if I keep my heart full of anger or something like this, right? So yeah, they do influence our thoughts, they do influence our decisions, and so forth. Does this influence only act upon a spirit at its inception?
I don't think so. Why would it only at the inception?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yes.
Because if you do bad things and you realize it and you you repent and you say, please forgive me, and you forgive him, then, then something must still help you and influence you for the good.
Exactly. See, the answer is in alignment with what we said. You said it follows the spirit. So the influence follows the spirit through all the phases of existence until it has acquired such absolute self-control that vile spirits abandon the attempt to tempt him or her. Right? So if let's pause for a minute over here, because I just recalled about something else. Remember that Jesus he even Jesus had those days of struggling with somebody just buzzing in his ear, okay, so why are you doing this? Are you sure you want to die for those people? They don't deserve blah 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 blah. So even Jesus, guys, imagine us. So yeah, why has God enabled the possibility of spirits taking the wrong road? Why has God enabled the possibility? Is that okay? Go ahead, Carol.
Well, that's about the only way to learn. That that you shouldn't do that,
Yeah,
by
exactly.
making the mistake, then
Yes.
you learn.
Yeah. We learn from our mistakes as well, right? So it is I remember my mom, she was a teacher as in her professional life. She was a teacher, and she was using so many different means to make sure that her students, they were grasping, they were understanding, they were taking and learning from her lessons. And I remember I was never her student, even though I was in the same school. But I remember seeing her preparing the lessons on the night before and using different strategies depending on who and how and what topic, the complexity of the topic. So there are many ways to teach somebody and for that somebody to learn from, right? So but somehow for a reason it seems like it is in pain when these learnings is most effective. It is not because God wants to be that way, but it seems like we do not grasp the lesson or the teaching until we feel like, oh my gosh, I'm done. Enough, I cannot take it anymore, right? And in the gospel according to Spiritism, the spirits, they say that actually pain, it is the very last resource that they use to teach a lesson to someone. And it is actually not a choice of the spirits, of a choice of God, but our own choice. Like there is no other means for us to learn if we do not go through the road of pain. So the answer is, how do you dare Why has God enabled the possibility of spirits taking the wrong road? How do you dare ask God to give account for the divine acts? Do you think you can penetrate God's design? So that's when Hyacinth is saying, you know, nobody knows, we can only speculate. Instead, you should say that the wisdom of God is shown in the free will that God grants to every spirit, for each has the merit of his or her actions. So, like I said, it's not really a choice from God or a choice from the spirits, but it is a consequence of our own doings. One thing is for sure, there is this divine law, the law of cause and consequences, and we will suffer whatever consequence from our acts, right? Whether it's good or bad, but we will suffer those consequences. And has nothing to do with what God chose for us. It's like, shut up. So, since, yes, Hyacinth.
I wanted to ask, because, it's slipped. It's about,
Let me go back so you can
choose between good and evil, and we have to make the choice. Oh, and what happens is not a punishment, but
Yeah.
a result of the choice you made. That is a consequence with the choice of
Precisely.
good or evil.
Precisely, yes. That's a divine law. That's a law of nature. You know, that every consequence, like physics, right? So every consequence has a cause and vice versa. So it's just, it is what it is. I mean, I cannot think about killing someone and think that I will not face the consequences, right? So, and I don't remember where, but there is a book, one of the Kardec's books, that the spirits say, imagine that even the humans, they created laws so you guys can face the consequences of your own doing if you go or if you do anything against the law. So imagine the divine law, right? So the law of nature. So yeah, everybody will face the consequences.
If we want to do what we want, but we don't want to take the consequences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And that has to do with the level, with how mature the spirit is. So since there are spirits who unwavering, oh my goodness, unwaveringly travel the path of righteousness right from the beginning, and others who swerve onto the wrong path, isn't likely that there are many degrees of deviation between these two extremes? Does the question make sense? Leda?
Yeah, that's something that makes us think about, right? Because some of us we are learning and we are trying and we do something wrong and the consequence comes right after, and you learn and you say, oh my God, I have to change that. But some people are in a sort of a protection from the consequences, like, for instance, very powerful people or very rich people or
Yes.
very, so they don't face the consequences right away. They will face it sometimes after death. And others, even after death, they still go in the doing evil, doing bad things in the spiritual world. So these ones will have to deal with the consequences even later, and they. So sometimes there's for God thinks that it will be better for them to educationally to face consequences later, so it's very complicated, right?
It
And
is.
the books show us a little bit of that, because uh sometimes if the spirit is progressing well, if they're doing right things, and then God says you can pay for that later because you're doing the right thing. So if you regret what you did and you change your behavior and you start helping others, and you need that time to put yourself together, they the spirits will give you time just to to clean your mess and pay for that later. It's pretty much like the credit that we have, right?
Yeah.
So they want us to pay, and they will try to do the best way that they can so that we can really profit from
Be
from
successful, right?
yeah,
They
be
want, yeah,
successful, and
they want to make sure that
do
we
the right
will,
thing.
yeah, that we will
So
success and will not fail because,
yeah,
yeah.
so there are many degrees, and Jesus said something like and now Hyacinth has to help me again. Like if you're not in this, because in law we have something that is the common punishment, and we have the punishment for those um, who are in very bad behaviors. So we call in Portuguese RDD. So it's a punishment that is even harder. And Jesus said something like, if you're not regretting, if you're not arrependidos, Ana, how do you
Yeah,
say that?
regret. If you do not
If you don't
repent,
regret, and
if you don't repent,
if you don't repent, then you may be sent to the judge, and the judge will have you pay every penny of the bad things that you did.
Mhm.
So we can either go in the way of being nice and doing spontaneously
Mhm.
what is the right thing, or we can go through the way of being rebel and having to pay it in the harder way.
Yeah,
Does it make sense? Do you
yeah,
understand? I'm sorry that sometimes I can't explain very well.
yeah, sometimes the words that don't come to mind, but as you were talking, an example that I recalled was Emmanuel. Remember when Emmanuel met with Jesus, and
Yeah,
then Jesus was asking, I mean, it was not that Jesus was asking for Emmanuel to make a choice, but at that time it was an opportunity for Emmanuel to make a choice, right? And then as Emmanuel choose to just follow his own ideas and stay in the same path of um, pride and you know we can say pride. Then Jesus said in the book of 2,000 years ago, Jesus said, okay, if you do not make a decision now, uh,
it's gonna
how
be
is it's
2,000
gonna be
years.
2,000 years
Yes.
for you to go back to the point that they
Oh,
he was, right?
Yeah, and
So
that happened because he when he decided to go for Jesus, then the Catholic Church took the idea of the Christ and made it all in their way, and then he couldn't reach the pure and real Christ in the way that he could back then, right?
Yeah, so it was very interesting. I do not know if you guys read the book 2000 years ago from Chico Xavier and Emmanuel. It is actually, this book is very interesting. It is available in English, and it does tell the story. It is Emmanuel talking about his own life and his experience when he met Christ Jesus for the first time. And evidently this first encounter, this first meeting didn't go well, not because of Jesus, but because of the pride that Emmanuel still has back then. Back then he was a Roman senator, so he was very proud of his position and his status in the society. So he decided to meet Jesus at night, because nobody could see him talking to someone like Jesus. And
Emmanuel, we are known as Nicodemus.
Mhm. No, I'm
Nicodemus.
not talking about Nicodemus. I'm talking about Emmanuel.
Okay.
Yeah. So the spirit Emmanuel. So back then he was a Roman senator. His name was help me, Leda. Was Emmanuel's back then? His name was
Senator Publius Lentulus.
Publius Lentulus, exactly.
Yeah.
Publius Lentulus was his name as senator back then. So he decided to meet Jesus at night, and because his daughter was very, very sick, and he decided to go there because his wife was begging for Jesus. You know, she wanted Jesus to save their daughter, and their daughter was suffering from leprosy, and she was begging Jesus to save her daughter, but evidently she didn't have the access like a senator would have the access to everybody. So he called up for a meeting with Jesus, but then it was at night. And after talking to Jesus, Jesus then said, you know, if you do not make your choice, like if you choose me now, yeah, you can choose me later, but it's gonna be like 2000 years later. And that's why that's why that's the reason for the name of the book 2000 years ago, because then 2000 years later now he's at that level, but now working with Chico Xavier and writing those books and, you know, kind of helping the message to be spread out, etc. So it is an amazing book.
And it is the actual report that he wrote, the senator wrote about Christ, that is in Vatican City now. He wrote a letter to Rome describing the Christ and how he looked like and everything, and how and this letter is one of the proofs that Christ existed, historical proof.
Yeah, let me tell you this, because when I read the book, so I decided to write to the library in Washington. And she replied back to me because I got this information that there was a copy in the library of Washington of that letter. So I wrote a letter to the librarian in Washington library, and she said that many people had asked for that letter. They don't have it. And she had the chance to ask for that letter in the Vatican, and they said they don't have it. What they have it is they have tons of letters because Roman soldiers and senators, evidently they were writing reports to the emperor, but those letters that they have do not necessarily describe Christ. So it seems like someone mentioned that that letter was in the Vatican, but apparently it's not. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, and she said she gave me actually she was very nice. She gave me the contact in Vatican to talk if I was interested in knowing, other letters or something. I just never had the time to think about any other letter that I was interested in. But if we happen to know anything specific, and if we write to them, they can provide you with a copy of whatever document you know, because probably they scanned everything, right? They have all the files already in digital version. So, but there must be something, out there. I would love to learn more about what exactly they have. And yeah, so
Anna, I found here the Bible versicle. It's the one that has reconcile quickly with your adversary while you are still on the way to court. Otherwise, he may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may
Right.
be thrown into prison. Truly, I tell you, you will not get out until you have paid the last penny. So
Mhm.
Reconcile quickly with your enemy.
yeah,
right, exactly, right now. So we do have the opportunity to do it. It's a choice, right? It's a decision that we make. Okay, so good discussions, guys. Let me share back again because we have one more question before we finish it. So since there are spirits who unwaveringly travel the path of righteousness right from the beginning, and others who swerve onto the wrong path, isn't likely that there are many degrees of deviation between these two extremes. So the answer is, of course. These degrees constitute the paths of most spirits, like us, for example. So sometimes we do not choose sometimes. I think in my case, I have the very clear impression that I was not choosing always the good way. So here we are, trying again. Are spirits who have reached the supreme degree after wandering down the wrong road less worthy than others in God's eyes? Maybe not, right? What do we think? Maybe yes. What I like about this, and is what Giles says constantly, one doesn't fit all, right?
One size
One size doesn't
fit
fit
all.
all. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the passage of the when Jesus says that the last workers they get paid the same amount of money than the first workers.
Yes.
So I would say no.
Yes.
that's right.
Yes. Yes. So God views the drifters who have returned to the right path with the same approval. Yay, Leda was right on top. With the same approval and loves them regardless of their past. Otherwise, it would not be a merciful Father. They have been classified as bad spirits because they yield to the bad temptations. Before their fall, they were merely simple spirits. Isn't that amazing? I love that.
Yes, the story is, it's my garden, and I employed you at a rate, and you agreed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I choose to give what I choose to give other people is not more than you, so what are you complaining about? You have got what you contracted to take.
Mm-hmm. And let me ask you this: who are the workers of the last hours? Of the last hour?
We are.
We are. Yeah. Yeah. And
It's not fair. I work 10 hours and he worked 2, and we can't get the same price. I want some more. And I'll go on strike.
that's how it is today. That's how it is today. I swear, I have a story to tell. I will finish now. I'll finish